everyone, it's Fiona Edgar here. So this is a video about Mercury retrograde, which starts tomorrow, May 10th. It starts at 4 degrees of Gemini and it's spanning all the way backwards to the 26th degree of Taurus. So Mercury is going to be retrograde until June 3rd. Then we're going to be in the shadow period until June 18th, okay? So let's just get started. What is Mercury retrograde? Well, it's when Mercury appears to be moving backwards through the skies. It's really an optical illusion from our perspective here on Earth, but the energetic effects of a Mercury retrograde are very real. So what can we expect? Well, all of the usual stuff like communication issues, maybe some issues with your electronic devices, your computer, your car, just stuff getting a little bit hectic and going wrong, train schedules, stuff like that. Now, one of the main things that I can see with this Mercury retrograde in particular is gossip, okay? Because Gemini, now I love Gemini, I love Geminis, but Gemini is a mutable sign. So with all of the mutable signs, there's like two different things going on. And with Gemini in particular, Gemini is symbolized by the divine twins, Castor and Pollux, one of whom is immortal and the other one is mortal. So, first of all, let's go to the gossip thing. So that was a word that was coming in very strongly as I started to think about this Mercury retrograde and the effect that that would have on all of us collectively. So gossip is really sort of when you kind of participate in gossip and you don't really know the person or it's all speculation and lies, it's a very bad thing to do karmically. So when you kind of attack, and gossip is sort of like a form of a psychic attack that you would do on someone because you're sending bad energy their way with your words. So when you do that, it's very bad news for you. Karmically speaking, it's going to come back on you one way or another. We all know those people and they're sort of like, they live for gossip. They're always talking about other people. They're horrible at human beings, but I have experienced gossip in my life before, usually groups of women. It's never men, it's always women. And they talk about you and, they say these things that aren't true. And I've experienced it quite a number of times in my life, but none of these people ever knew me. The only people that really know me well are my family, my partner, and my best friend. As for everyone else, they only know a tiny bit about me, if anything. So when you do that, it's sort of like a very bad form of sort of black magic that you're casting upon someone. So, of course, if that person hasn't deserved that, then that will come back on you. I think Thomas Sheridan has talked about this a couple of times too. He also has experienced smear campaigns like myself, but these people always have really bad lives. Nothing goes well for them, and they usually suffer some kind of illness or severe misfortune. So mind your own business is kind of what I'm saying with this Mercury retrograde. If you do come across some gossip or whatever, just ignore it. The only thing that you do is ignore it. People that gossip are never good human beings. They're always jealous in some way. They're usually people that haven't achieved anything and they're probably jealous of your success or something about you. So keep that in mind and just don't lower yourself to respond or engage in that in any way. Gossip is really encouraged in the modern age because we have so many, magazines and TV shows and all of that about people that we don't know. Celebrities and all of that. I couldn't care less about celebrities at all. But yeah, it is encouraged, but it is a kind of a bad thing to do for yourself. Whether you feel like that person deserves it or not is not really the point. Just don't get yourself into that kind of very low energy. So gossip was the first thing that came to my mind. Obviously, there's going to be some issues about information here with the sign of Gemini because it is ruled by Mercury. Now, Mercury is in domicile in Gemini, which means that it rules that. So the first part of the retrograde shouldn't be overly bad, although it starts with a square to the moon in Virgo. Okay, so what I get from that is like a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of what ifs going on in people's minds. A lot of like, you just can't turn your mind off. So it's kind of imperative that you learn a way to unplug and de stress and try not to overthink things. Overthinking is going to be a huge thing with this retrograde while it's in Gemini. So take some flower essences, or smell some lavender oil, or do something that helps you de-stress. Try and turn off your devices and all of the usual advice, because they'll be blowing up and you'll be getting like electronic stimulation and all kinds of things that you just don't want. So try and give yourself some peace, because it's going to be hard for you to get that if you're doing all of the things that you usually do, right? So Mercury retrogrades are a review period. Mercury is retracing its steps. So what that means for us is that we go backwards. Something in your lives or our lives is not quite right. So we're getting a chance to sort of review it, weighing up the pros and cons, reviewing the information that we've got, and making different and better choices so that we can improve our lives. Now, where that is going to be exactly, it's going to be different for all of you. So I am going to be going through all of the signs individually and what you can expect from that. So the usual Mercury retrograde advice applies. Try not to sign anything like important documents. Try not to start a new job because it may not last, or it may be different than you expected. Definitely don't get married. Absolutely not under Mercury retrograde. If you do start something new, and of course life happens, you can't just put everything off because Mercury retrograde is happening. I mean, this year we have Mercury retrograde 4 times. So that's a lot of time when a lot of people will be too scared to do things. Look, if you have to do something, just do it. If it's something really important, obviously like a wedding or starting a new job or some big project, then do try and get another day for it after the retrograde. But stuff will happen. It's life. We have to keep going. So Mercury in Gemini is all about the intellect. It's about the mental plane. It's about how you review and understand information. It is a sign that is known for being quite scattered. I have Mercury in Gemini in my own chart, and it is very ADHD. You go from one thing to the other, pick up this book, read a few lines, then, read another book, or get distracted by like a pigeon outside the window, or, the cat wants its food or whatever. It's going to be hard to focus over the next few weeks is what I'm saying. So if you are someone like this, usually it's going to get a bit worse. You won't be able to focus properly. You're going to be easily distracted. But, you just have to realize that you're human, and humans have things that are wrong with them. So then when Mercury goes back into Taurus, it moves into a fixed earth sign. So we're moving from the mental plane into the physical reality. It's about ideas. You're going to have a lot of ideas with Mercury and Gemini. Stuff coming to you quite easily. So translating those ideas from your mind into your physical world is going to be one of the kind of goals of this retrograde. But you'll be thinking about stuff and getting good ideas, but then when it comes to actually practicing them, or having them play out in your life, it's going to be a bit more difficult, because when Mercury moves back into Taurus, the astrology gets a lot more challenging. So bear that in mind. Because when Mercury goes back into Taurus, it's going to be making a square to Saturn. So something that you thought was wonderful and great and new opportunities or whatever when Mercury was in Gemini, you might find that you have to put in a bit more hard work or effort than you initially thought when Mercury goes into Taurus. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a total disaster or you can't make it work. It just means that you yourself will have to be more Saturnian, so more disciplined, more productive, harder working, and all of those things connected to Saturn. So now when Mercury goes direct is when actually we may see some major problems here. So Mercury goes direct when it reaches the 26th degree of Taurus. If this degree of Taurus sounds familiar to you, it's because I've talked about it before. This, at 26 degrees of Taurus, the fixed star Algol is located. It's also known as the Demon's Head. It's said to be the most evil star in the sky. Now, if you remember, I correctly predicted that there would be a war that started, I think it was the 22nd of February, and I was right because that is the day that Russia declared war on the Ukraine or started to invade them. Now, I was able to predict that because I knew that the North Node in Taurus was going to be conjunct Algol on that day. So Mercury goes direct, it makes a square to Saturn, and it's conjunct Algol. Something quite big is going to happen on this day. I don't know what it is. It could be more military action, it could be more war, that kind of thing, because that is what Algol is known for. It's known for destruction and violence and war and that type of thing. So let's just see how that plays out. I don't know exactly, but Mercury direct day, June 3rd, is going to be pretty significant for one reason or another. Now, let's get into the more personal side of things. I'm going to go through each of the signs and how Mercury retrograde is going to affect each sign. I want you to listen to your ascendant, the most important, then your sun, and then your moon. Now, if you were born at night, the moon may resonate with you a bit more. But listen to those three, and you're going to get quite a big, accurate picture about this Mercury retrograde and how it's going to play out for all of us. I've got Gemini rising, so this is going to be quite a significant one for me. I have no idea what it is yet. So Aries rising, Aries moon. Mercury goes retrograde in your third house. So this could be some issues with communication, especially connected to your siblings, your cousins, any neighbors that you speak to. You could also maybe have a little bit of car issues, and maybe you have some difficulties with short journeys. You know, maybe you're taking the train and the timetable is wrong or something like that. So the shift into Taurus is going to bring you, yes, a chance to review some financial matters. So looking at your finances, maybe having some issues with money here. You may have a reality check connected to your finances. So be careful with those. Aries people are impulsive. They don't like to plan ahead. They don't like to be told that they should be careful or that they shouldn't do something. But just please take what I'm saying on board. So Taurus, the retrograde initially starts in your second house. The second house is about your finances, your possessions, stuff that you own. You may be thinking about new opportunities that you could increase your wealth. Okay, it also rules your personal morals and values. Now, Mercury moves back into Taurus on the May the 22nd. This is going to be really significant for you because, of course, Taurus is your first house. This could be major life changes happening, changes to your identity, also your appearance. So this is going to be quite a significant retrograde for you, Taurus. So Gemini, the retrograde starts in your first house. This could all be changes to your identity. Maybe you've moved. You've had a really big life change that has happened recently. So you're moving. You've got this whole new plan for the future that is going to change everything for you. Maybe you have done something like that recently, but the retrograde is going to kind of highlight a few things that maybe you didn't think of at the time. So the shift into Taurus is going to, I'm kind of smiling because, like I say, I've got Gemini rising, and when it goes back into Taurus, for Gemini folks, this is our 12th house. Okay, so the 12th house is about dreams, your subconscious, it's your self-undoing, it's your interaction with the spirit world. So first of all, you may be lacking in energy. You may be more tired than normal. You may need to sleep more. When you do sleep, you're going on many different adventures in the spirit world. Your dreams will be very profound and colourful and full of symbolism. Now, the 12th house is also the house of evil spirits. So maybe you kind of, for a brief period, you have some activity in your home that you didn't previously have. So the spirit world really reflects your inner state. What is going on inside you is going to reflect the spirit world, so spirit interaction with you or in your home. So just something to remember. You will feel like you need to hide away for a while. Not because you're scared or anything, just because you want more downtime. So you're going to be turning your phone off, uh, reading a book and, going into your garden. You will not necessarily want or be seeking a lot of interaction with other people. The 12th house is also about things that hold you back, things that you do that hold you back. So you will be seeing something. Part of your uh, self undoing. What do you do that is kind of bad for you, but you always continue to do it? And you know what? It's kind of a blind spot because the 12th house is really not visible to us. But you will see what it is during this retrograde, and you will be able to make changes that really improve your life after that. So it's not all, it's um, bad things and things that are annoying and troublesome and all of that do tend to occur during Mercury retrograde, of course, but it's for your own good, you know. I've had some very significant breakthroughs in my life after horrible retrograde. Stuff that came to your head. It brings things to your head so that you can change it and ultimately be happier. So Cancer, the retrograde is happening in your 12th house. So it's all about your dreams, the rest and recuperation that you need, taking a break away from society, away from people. It's also about hidden enemies. You could maybe have some issues with hidden enemies. Is always a funny term, but if you think about it, it's people that maybe pretend to be your friend or pretend to be on your side, but they're not clapping when you win. So that's something that you should pay attention to. People that don't clap when you win, they have no place in your life whatsoever. So get rid of them. So yes, then when it goes back into Taurus, it's going to possibly bring you some issues with groups. Groups of people that you choose to hang out with is the 11th house. Groups, friendships. It's also about your dreams for the future. Maybe you have this dream of something that you really want, how you want your life to go over the next couple of years or whatever. But then there's like this massive reality check that happens about that, and you realize what you were planning. You're going to need to work on that a little bit more. So you will also have to be more practical about manifesting your dreams, because Taurus is practical. Gemini is not. Gemini is all about the intellect and, oh, look at these fantastic ideas, but you have to be able to manifest that in your everyday life. So some things for you, Cancer, is a dream that you had. You skipped over a lot of the small details, and then when Mercury retrograde moves back into Taurus, you may find that there's some extra work that you had to do. Don't let go of your dreams. Don't abandon the idea. Just realize that there just may be a few things that you have to take care of. So on to Leo. So Leo, this Mercury retrograde is happening in your 11th house. It's your friends, groups that you belong to, associations. When it starts off, you could have some drama with friends. There could be some drama with a group, or someone that you hang out with, regular activities with a bunch of people. There could be a spanner in the works. It doesn't mean like that stuff is going to end. I mean, it could do, but it could just mean that there's communication difficulties. Maybe someone that you're friends with has like been a little bit, they haven't been paying you as much attention. Well, maybe they're a Cancer and Mercury retrograde is in their 12th house, so they would just want to be alone. So don't jump the gun or think the worst. You could be very busy with this Mercury retrograde in your 11th house. There's a lot of stuff going on. You could also meet people from the past that you used to be friends with, or you had some connection with them in the past. Then it gets reignited again during this Mercury retrograde. So when the shift goes back into Taurus, when Mercury travels back into Taurus, you could have some challenges about your career, your public reputation, and some life changes connected to your job. So, yeah. On to Virgo. Virgo, this Mercury retrograde is happening in your 10th house. So that's really going to mostly be about your job. Mercury retrograde connected to your job. Maybe gossip in the office, people talking about you, just let them, just rise above it. Uh, could be some difficulties there with like your work schedule. Maybe you're really reevaluating your job at this time and you're thinking that you don't want to do it anymore. And you're just thinking, God, I just can't be bothered with this anymore. I want a new job. Well, wait until the retrograde is over before you leave. Don't just leave like that. So it could be issues that with transport that affect your job. It literally could be anything. So rethinking your career is something that is quite possible for you. Networking is going to bring you some job opportunities. So Gemini is known for its ability to network. So listen out for opportunities about jobs. If you come into contact with people from other companies or whatever, ask them, are you hiring? And you might just be able to get a new job. But try not to start it until after the retrograde is over, but look into these opportunities. So the shift into Taurus, first of all, it could possibly affect some things to do with the legal system. Not That's obviously going to be quite rare, but that is a possibility as Mercury moves back into your ninth house. It's also going to make you reevaluate your beliefs in some way. Those could be religious beliefs, spiritual or political, any kind of beliefs that you kind of believed for a long time and were like quite a part of you, a part of your personality and your character. During this retrograde, you might be thinking, questioning those quite a lot. And coming to, other beliefs and experimenting with other systems. It could also be about, the ninth house is also about learning, higher learning, taking a course, retraining, and learning new skills. Okay, so on to Libra. So Mercury is going retrograde in your ninth house. So it's everything that I just said. It's about reviewing your beliefs, your political, religious, that kind of thing. It could also be, if you're studying, there could be some issues with study. Maybe a course that you're going to take is delayed, or it's about, thinking about traveling. The ninth house is about travel. Maybe I want to move. Maybe I want to see some more of the world. Now, the shift into Taurus is going to bring some issues here with your partner's money, intimacy, occult matters, power struggles, and that kind of thing. So it's the eighth house, really. The eighth house is kind of is a bit of a big deal, and it can be about transformation. It can be about stuff ending in your life. The eighth house is where things go to die and then they're reborn again. So actually, the eighth house can be about your physical death. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but just an interesting nugget of astrology. The ninth house is actually your entrance into the next life. So you can see partially what your entrance into your next life is going to be like by looking at your ninth house. Now, you could have some power struggles here. You could have mostly about taking on your partner's problems as your own. Your partner could be experiencing some issues here, and you may be, taking those on as your own. Because when your partner goes through some kind of bad experience, of course, it will affect you also. So on to Scorpio, Mercury retrograde is actually happening in your eighth house. So the eighth house is about sexual issues. It can be about sexual issues. If you need something that you're not getting in bed, you need to ask your partner. You need to verbalize it. You need to talk to them about it. Scorpios are so deep and they feel everything so intensely, but they don't verbalize their needs very well to other people. They keep it all inside. And it's just like sometimes that they can't feel or find the actual words to verbalize things. So it could be a sexual issue. You're going to be thinking a lot about astrology, the occult, spiritual matters. So the shift into Taurus can bring about some problems that you have in your romantic partnership, okay? It can be your marriage. It is a long-term committed relationship. If you're not in one of those already, there could be someone that you previously had a relationship with like that, and they come back into your life. So you will be reviewing your needs within your relationship. So 8th house, 7th house for you, Scorpio, is kind of a huge deal. So it could be money problems that bleed into your partnership. It could be power issues. You know, Scorpios like to be in control. Sometimes you just have to try and let go of that control. Let other people take over for a while. Otherwise, you can suffer from some kind of burnout. So on to Sagittarius, Mercury retrograde is happening in your seventh house. Committed partnership, your marriage, your the partner that you've been dating for a long time and you're together. Now, if you're not in a relationship, you could experience someone coming back from the past saying, hey, I didn't enjoy how things ended. Can we try again? That kind of thing. Do be cautious though, because Mercury is retrograde. You need to be careful about that and really have a good think about why it ended. And sometimes when things end, even though you don't want to let them go, you would be better off doing that. So you could have communications with your partner. Your partner may have some issue, like they're unwell. They may become more unreliable than normal. They may be more scattered. So if they are behaving a bit oddly, just realize that Mercury is retrograde, and by the time it goes direct, probably things are going to be back to normal again. Now, when Mercury goes back into Taurus, it's going to be affecting some, like your health, your daily schedule, daily routines, work schedules, possibly a problem with your pet. Hopefully not. Hopefully not, but it is a possibility because the sixth house is actually connected to small animals. Your pets, your cats and dogs, your hamster, whatever you have, they're in the sixth house. So Capricorn, Mercury does go retrograde in your sixth house. Now, you may be a bit more scattered. Capricorns are usually really disciplined. You could have some weird shit going on that interferes with your daily schedule, your work routine. Maybe you work for a company and they're like reviewing, the roles that people have or when certain things are done. So you could see all of that like sort of up in the air at the minute with Mercury retrograde. Now, when the shift goes into Taurus, it could cause some issues with your kids. Your kids may be acting up, maybe a problem with one of your kids, usually not a big deal, just, some drama there. There could also be some issues with romances or really stuff that you do that makes you happy in life, where you have fun, recreational activities, all of that. Capricorns are a super serious lot. You really need to let go and have some fun. Also, just remember that. And no, doing your taxes is not it's not fun and it's not creative either. So try and get out, do something different, get those creative juices flowing. So Aquarius, Mercury retrograde in your fifth house, starts off in your fifth house. What could this be? A romance from the past? It could be dating, thinking you found someone really good, but then when Mercury goes into Taurus, it's not going to be all that you hoped for. So just be careful. You could also have some problems with your kids. There could be issues with your creativity. There could be a creative project. Because remember, Mercury in Gemini is really good at ideas. Ideas are just coming and coming. So there could be a creative project that you're getting a good idea for, but it's not really going to get off the ground until, after the retrograde is over. When Mercury is in Taurus, you're going to have more discipline and more focus to bring it into something that is more tangible. Making you money and you're working with it every day and taking it out of your head. So then lastly, Pisces. Pisces, Mercury is going retrograde in your fourth house. You may be moving. You may be thinking of moving. You could have renovations in your home. You may be thinking about redecorating, building a conservatory, an annex, whatever. Changes within the physical structure of your home. Now, you could have some problems there since Mercury is retrograde. It could be electricity. It could be plumbing or whatever, just some problem going on there. You also may have some issues with your family. The fourth house is also about your family. So could be family drama. Don't we all love that? Etc. So when Mercury goes back into Taurus again, you could have some problems there with siblings, your neighbors. Maybe you want to build that annex and your neighbors are saying no, and stuff like that. You could also have a few problems with your car, your journeys, short journeys, basically journeys where you don't cross large amounts of land. You're not crossing water. It's not air travel. It's like your local environment. So you could have some issues there, or you could just suddenly thinking about planning more places that you could visit during the summer. Maybe because of all the stuff that's going on in the world, you don't want to take a long distance holiday this year. You would rather do something closer to home. So this retrograde is a good time for you to get ideas for that. You will also be reviewing the way that you think, the way that you understand information, also your sources of information, because it's very hard to get reliable sources at all for information anymore, because it's all like censored or they all have an agenda. That's why I don't really believe anything that anyone says. It's not that I think that I'm better than them, it's just that I have to research stuff myself to get a better understanding of what it is, because I don't trust other people's information. And I'm really skeptical, but usually quite a lot of the time it's for a good reason. So that was my analysis of the Mercury retrograde. So just to recap, it's going to be a bit of anxiety, communication issues, a leaky fridge, car that won't start, computer problems, or a virus on your computer, or whatever. Initially. Now, you may not experience any of those things. It really depends on where Mercury is transiting through your birth chart, and also the condition of your own Mercury. So if your Mercury is super well aspected in your chart, you're generally not going to have a lot of these kind of doom Mercury retrogrades. My Mercury is right on my ascendant, conjunct my Mars. So usually when I have Mercury retrograde, stuff just happens like that, because Mars is involved in my own chart. And yet, usually is a huge drama, but whatever, that's just life. So, the problems really will only kind of see problems that cause sorrow. Because Mercury retrograde in Taurus square Saturn is a sorrow, it's not a feel good energy. It can be a bit depressing. It can be news that you weren't expecting that is not good. It could also be negative thinking. Be careful that you don't see things as being like really terrible when in fact they're not that bad at all. But Mercury and Taurus square Saturn is going to be a little bit difficult, I have to say. Now, when Algol comes into the mix as well, so Mercury will go direct conjunct Algol. It's got to be something to do with war. It's got to be with Algol involved. Some kind of nasty, kind of global thing going on. So I hope I'm wrong, but usually I'm not. So yeah, nothing I can say. We all know that there's stuff going on in the world at the moment that is kind of beyond our control. So don't lose yourself in anxiety thinking about all of these things. Focus on your life, your own tribe. It's not normal to be gripped. It's not healthy to be kind of gripped with fear about stuff that's not even happening on your doorstep. When it gets on your doorstep, yeah, then you should be concerned. But the media, you can't trust anything on it these days. So get plenty of rest. Try some flower remedies from Batch. They are quite, they're harmless. They do work. They're extremely effective. They help with stuff like trauma that you've unresolved, communication issues, jealousies, obsessions, anything that you can think of. They're easily available also. But yeah, so just remember to not engage in any gossip. Also, information, be very careful about information with this Mercury retrograde, because you could be totally sure about something, but then it ends up being wrong. There is this duality going on as well. There's the two twins, there's the spirit world, and then there's us. So be careful about stuff you're seeing in the media. Be careful about information that you're hearing from other people. Even if you normally trust them completely, there's a possibility that they are wrong. And most importantly, remember to retain your connection with the spirit world. In the mythology, Mercury is a god who travels between the realm of the gods and the realm of the humans. Gemini people and Virgo people, they have that ability. They're very psychic. They don't get enough credit for it. It's always the water signs that get the credit. But in my opinion, Gemini and Virgo are much more psychic and connected to those other realms. So do your spiritual work when things are getting hectic, when you're kind of like, a bit fried with anxiety and your phone going off. Do a little ritual. Give the gods some offerings, do a little meditation, or whatever it is that you do to feel kind of spiritually good about yourself. So that's it, guys. I am going to be back again. I've got 2 other videos to make. One I have to make about Jupiter and Aries, and the other one I'm going to be talking about the eclipse that's coming up soon. So I'll be back again soon. Don't forget to subscribe. I am a teacher of astrology, and I do private readings, which you can find on the store and my website. I will link it, and I can teach you how to read a birth chart. Even if you have no experience at all, I offer private tuition for astrology. So thanks, guys. I love you all, and I'll be back again soon.